Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of Vinyl and Vision. Here we are with episode 110. Today's very special guest is, or are, the members of Lung, Kate Wakefield and Daisy Caplan. So Lung is a duo from Cincinnati. They comprise the second half of the Conan Neutron and Secret Friends Lung Split LP, Adult Prom. Lung has not released any singles off of the LP, so I chose a couple songs that I like. So what you're listening to is the song Pastor, and at the end of the episode I include a short clip of the song called Kingpin. So it was great to speak with Daisy and Kate. We had a couple of little mishaps. For some reason we could not both sign in to the Zoom at the same time, and so we kind of fell behind schedule, and then they had something they needed to do, which led to trying to make everything very concise. So that's why it sounds a little weird when we kind of come into it, because we kind of had to jump right into it. These things sometimes happen, and that's the thing, the beauty and the burden of podcasting is that it's one take. You either get it or you don't, folks. So, but they were great sports, and they wanted to talk about the album Con Art by Smart Went Crazy from 1997, which was released on Discord Records. Very interesting history for that record, so I get into most of it during this discussion, and then also my brain was so racked with inability to kind of clearly analyze this record and the songs in it that I kind of almost gave up before having this talk. During my prep. But I did come up with some things that I thought were interesting. I thought it was pertinent. I thought I had things that I definitely wanted to ask Lung. So that's kind of how it played out. Kind of just like one on little tirades, little miniature ones. That's all. It was great. So I encourage you guys to pick up the album, the Split LP, Adult Prom, which is on a Learning Curve Records. I will provide notes in the links in the show notes. And Lung will be on tour as always. They are constantly touring. Dates will be provided on their website, which I will also provide a link to keep updated on their status and where their whereabouts. So without further ado, let's just start the show. All that we ask is that you please do all the things with the internet, because it really helps us out a ton. Is if you like, share, subscribe, rate, review, all of those things. And if you want to help us out in a financial way, you can always visit our website, psychicstack.net, and just make a purchase from the website, and it goes towards funding this project. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Enjoy. All right, Kate, so it's nice to meet you again, of course.
You too.
Do you want to, so can we go back to the beginning of you as a child, like growing up in the house, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and music was pretty big in my house. It was always playing, and my dad would always take me in to listen to entire albums through and sort of point out the really cool spots, and so it was very present in my life.
Yeah. And so ever since like very young, like how old are you, like when you can like start remembering him kind of like introducing you to music?
I feel like we probably sat down and listened to albums when I was like 5 or 6, on like, just like, oh, you have to hear this Tori Amos record, or oh, here's Laurie Anderson, or we also would he introduced me to Chris Cunningham videos. So like there's Chris Cunningham does like the Aphex Twin video Come to Daddy, which is like wonderfully disturbing and awesome for like a 10-year-old at least. And Bjork, lots of good weirdo shit. So and then I mean my mom listened to a lot of Suzanne Vega too, so there's just always a good album to be listening to.
Okay.
Should I talk about my parents' corny cover band?
You should do it.
Yeah, so Daisy, you grew up in which city and state?
I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky, another city an hour and a half from here, and my parents played in like pickup bands, like behind like has-been touring musicians from the 50s.
Yeah.
like both country artists and rock artists and R&B artists and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But again, it was more of a kind of like a job they did rather than like they weren't writing songs and stuff like that.
Right, right. Now, but so as a kid growing up in that house with musicians, I mean, did they show you any music that kind of like, stuck with you?
Not like some classical stuff because my mom was like really into she was into some composers and stuff like that. That was cool. But I mean, like stuff like hearing like I'm a soul man for the 900th time was not that interesting to me. Like it was like there, but
Yeah.
but it wasn't like I'm hard pressed to think of anything they listen to that like is stuff I listen to personally all the time,
Right, right.
When I
So
my own musical interest, like was kind of the that point where like the underground and the above ground met, like post Nirvana, where there was a lot of like, Meat Puppets and Butthole Surfers on the radio and stuff like that, which is
right,
very
weird rock music.
right, which totally sort of perverted my expectations of rock music permanently. I'm always kind of expecting it to be kind of weird and kind of off and different and unique, and it's usually
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Oh, weird. Now, and your parents played which instruments?
My dad was a drummer, and my mom played piano and various keyboards, stuff like that, organ.
Yeah. And
She's
so
not
how,
weird.
like, you're the drummer of the band. Like, did your dad have a big influence on why you play drums, or?
I didn't start playing drums until I was 30. I
Oh,
mostly played other instruments in my life. I don't think my dad really had an interest, but there's a weird thing where me and my dad did not talk for the last 20-ish years of his life, to the point that I didn't know he died until like a couple years after he died. And somehow those two things did overlap. Like I started playing drums when I learned he died, but it wasn't like he died and I'm going to play drums. They were just kind of happening concurrently, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. So it's not like in honor of him or anything like that.
Absolutely not. No, it just sort
Right.
of, it's weird. It's still weird. It's one of those things like the week that I started bartending, I also quit drinking. Like those
Right.
things have nothing to do with each other. They're just sort of like ships that,
Yeah. Right. Weird.
like
Huh.
it doesn't feel like it had to do with each other, but it clearly did because it was happening at the exact same time. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and so I'm sorry, first of all, to hear about your father. And obviously you guys didn't have a great relationship if you didn't even know that had happened. It's
Right.
that's a very strange circumstance.
Right. It's like it doesn't like nothing about like I can't like connect those dots practically, but like emotionally and linearly, you know what I'm saying? Like it's sort
Yeah,
of
absolutely. So how do you feel about playing drums?
I really like the physicality of it. I like that it's musical, but you don't have to like think about it. Like, well, you think about it, but you don't think about like notes or being in key or anything like that. It's more like accents and like it's like rather than decorating a room, you're building the house.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's more architectural than like design work. I mean, it can be, and anything can be both musically, but I like that it's like you're almost like a conductor in a weird way without like
You set the tone. Like you
yeah,
set the tone for the song. Like like let's just use you guys as an example. Kate comes in with a part on the cello, and it's your job to kind of create the rhythm of that song, right?
right. Which ironically, a lot of the stuff that we'll do, I will literally just be like, I'm gonna play a drum beat, and then Kate will come with a riff over it. Like that's one of our weirdest like recurring,
Oh,
right? Is like I'm not even like I'm gonna play this beat. I'll literally just play exactly what comes to my head, and then like a riff will just sort of like materialize over it.
oh, wow, that's interesting. So you kind of start the process?
Not always. That's just one way we do it. It like
Sure.
randomly happens. We
Okay.
write a lot of different ways.
Yeah,
Like
and between two, that's a strange dynamic. I mean, how else can that work? I'm curious.
Oh, like how else can we write?
Yeah, as a two piece,
Oh,
as
we
a duo.
write in so many different ways. I mean, like Daisy said, like oftentimes Daisy will start with a drum beat, or our practice will devolve into like a drum beat. And then, you know, or like, and then I'll come up with I'll just sort of jam with whatever comes to mind from the drum beat. And then vocals will happen. And oftentimes we'll just turn on a cell phone recorder to catch if anything ends up being cool. Yeah, sometimes we pump out songs in like 10 minutes that way. And then other times I'll come in with some ideas and then we'll just sort of collaborate in the space over what works, like what sounds cool, and rearrange things. And then one way that we've been writing since the pandemic that I think is pretty fun and kind of strange, I think a lot of bands have done this, but it was new for us, is when everything was locked down, we both got bored because we were supposed to be on tour, and you know, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's nothing. So I would come up with just random cello parts, like sometimes things that didn't really make sense in my head that I'm like, okay, here, whatever, here's some stuff. And then I would send it to Daisy, and Daisy would like chop things up, add form to it, and then send it back. And then I would add vocals to it. And then we would go back and forth that way.
Sometimes I'd add terrible piano parts, like all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Like it didn't work.
And like, and then Daisy would add drum beats to it too, with like MIDI drums. And so we would come up with songs. Like most of our album Come Clean right now is written over the internet in like 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool.
So I think like 2 pieces also work really well for writing, because it's like if you have a good combination of, if you have people who have similar but different music ears who are up for trying things, you know, it leaves you open for a lot of creativity.
Also, it's like you don't have like 3 or 4 people with an opinion. It's just like we either do it or we don't. Like if we disagree, we just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if one of us is like no, then it's like okay, because we don't usually say no. So if I say no to something, Daisy's like, okay, no, sure.
Yeah, like we mostly.
And Daisy, yeah, same thing. Like if Daisy says no to an idea, it's like I can trust that I respect their ear more than anyone else's. So,
which also, to clarify in the context of the album Con Art, it's not like we disagree on music mostly. It's just like there's stuff Kate likes more, stuff that I like more. And this is like a weird, and we have a few of these, but I felt like this was an interesting one to discuss because it's not like Prince or something like that, where like everybody's talked about it a whole bunch, or like
Sure. Yeah.
Hills or David Bowie, or like
this is a fairly obscure album, really.
Yeah.
Fairly, which is weird because to me it's like a huge deal, but like okay, so I kind of like prepared for this a little bit because I was like, I don't want to sound like an idiot talking about this record.
Okay.
And like I am Facebook friends with the singer of this band.
Oh, cool.
He at one point made a bunch of posts kind of detailing like really cool details about this record. Like I looked back and like he described it as like it's weird to make a record that a very small amount of people think is a huge deal. Yeah. And I thought it was really striking because to me this is monstrous, but like in general, this is not, like in the grand scheme of music, this is not like
it's not something that people know about, but it definitely changed my view on music and opened up my mind in ways. And also I think it's like lyrically brilliant and funny and interesting. And
on that, like him being like, it's weird to make a record that like a very small amount of people think is like the biggest deal ever. Like I think people should make a big deal out of this record. I think like that dude, his name is Chad Clark, by the way. That dude is probably in the top 5 best music of the past 30 years. And I think it's insane that he's not like rich and famous. Like I think it's both good and like unique and like just good art, you know? And like, so, you know, that's what I think everybody should like it because it's great.
Okay. Well, you know, hopefully we'll bring some attention to it and attention to some of his work. Because I agree. I mean, I haven't heard this album before you guys suggested it. So I dug into it as well. I looked for that. I had heard a lot of interviews with Chad where there was mention of his Twitter and how he goes into some pretty great details through his Twitter about his own work. So I scoured Twitter, which I never use, and trying to find some information about this album because, you know, with it being a fairly obscure record, there's not a lot of information about it out there. So having Chad Clark as a resource online, whether it be Twitter or Facebook, it was kind of great. Not totally helpful, but helpful in some ways. So now, can you tell me about first how you guys chose this record, because you had to choose it together?
Well,
I mean, I think the big thing was like when we first started being a band, there was like number one, like we started off in playing together in a different band that was like had guitar and bass in it, and like it was a little more of a cluttery kind of noisy thing, which was cool. But then we started playing together on our own. It was like, oh, this is like we've tried to play with other musicians, and it's been cool. It sounds like us and another musician, like whatever, as long as like a full piece as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Can add other stuff to it, but nothing about it was like this is incomplete. So I think the thought process was like thinking about ways that cello functions in rock bands. That's not like the super obvious examples. Like there's, you know, stuff like the Beach Boys song "Good Vibrations." That's the obvious one.
Yeah, there's like Nirvana, and
there's a lot of cello in Nirvana. The real obvious one is Rasputina, which is awesome. Like I love Rasputina, but like Smart Went Crazy is like the way the cello functions within the band, I think, is why I recommended Kate. And also it's awesome, but there's a specific way it works that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Okay. And I thought that Kate might enjoy it too. And I think Kate and the cello player Hillary, I think, have complementary styles in some ways.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah, like basically what happened was we started being we weren't even calling ourselves a band at that point, but we started making music together, you know, jamming, writing music. And Daisy recommended that I listen to Smart Went Crazy, and sold me on it, being like, there's a cello and it's done in different ways and it's cool. And I remember just like turning on the whole record start to finish and just being like, yeah, it's an album that's like dark and heavy and twisted, but has really fun lightness to it, and like dark humor, and like Daisy was saying, like with the cello, like the way that Hillary writes her parts, she sort of just plays the cello. Not, I don't know if she's classically trained or what, but I like that she plays it like it's like raw and intense, and like she's just doing it because like it just feels more guttural. And some of the notes that she picks are just like, she does these like da na 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 na, like insistent, like driving, almost like a guitar riff. And then also the guitar riffs and the bass riffs in the album, they're it's just sort of like similar to our
I feel
vibe.
like, except for like the DC will do that D song and the Bullfighter song, like the cello is the dirtiest part of the band.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of the cello is like, whereas a lot of the guitar and bass work is a little, not gentle is the wrong word, but it's like
Complementary,
more angular and like not necessarily rocking. And then like the cello's like that's a cool,
yeah.
like I liked that, which is obviously it depends on the song and riff and everything. Like the trading roles with the instruments on this record, I think, is one of the coolest things about it. Like it's real rad.
Yeah. And also, we're both passionate about a lot of different music, but like this is one album that we're equally into. You know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of our tastes are like different and complementary, but this is the album that's like, hell yeah.
Yep.
You know? Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. It's a really cool album. I'm going to share a quote with you that I found from treblezine.com. It was a quote from Chad Clark. He says, we had a lot of ideas, he says, and it just seemed like the shape was not going to be something small. It was going to be something grand and sort of sprawling. Like the White Album or Sandinista. We talked about Sandinista a lot. So records take different shapes, and the sprawling record is not always the right thing. I generally try to exert more discipline on the form of something, but with Con Art, we had a lot of ideas and wanted them all, basically. We didn't realize at the time that Discord didn't have any kind of policy or even pricing for double albums, so we kind of overshot what the label was comfortable with, and that became an issue. So, you know, you guys currently are promoting your new split release with Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends, Adult Prom, which kind of seems like the opposite to a double album, you know, doing a split with another band.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 minutes of music or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So were there any issues bringing that project together? You know, the split?
It's a little hard to sell record labels on a split in general, but I think that Reiner was like down for it. Like, I think the thing with splits in general is people want to do like a 7-inch or something with like 1 or 2 songs or something. And like, I personally feel like split LPs are kind of a lost art form. you can kind of like, both bands can kind of dig in a weird way and do stuff they wouldn't normally do. Whereas like if you only have 2 or 3 songs, it's kind of like, but if you have like 15, 20 minutes, like it basically became a thing where like the songs that are on that record, like 2 of them are like old as time. Like they're almost close to the first couple songs we wrote, not quite, but close. And then 2 of them were written like the week before the session. And suddenly it was like, oh, these just go together. I don't know why, but these fit. Like they didn't fit on the records. They just all sort of like hung together in this weird, like, and like that wouldn't have necessarily happened with a full record because they always kind of got voted off the island for one reason or the other.
Okay. And there was a certain element to this album because I spoke with Conan last week, and there's I did notice this because I listened to his catalog as well. Is it's like you guys covered each other on this album.
Yep.
So I mean, there was a lot more intention to this split than just kind of like, oh, we're friends, we know each other, we like each other's bands. Like, I have 6 songs, you have 6 songs. Like, let's put this out together, right?
I think it kind of became like me and Conan sort of like spitballing each other, like where it was like, it's like, let's do a split. And it's like, let's cover each other's songs. I'm like, that's cool. And then I think they had a cover of a band. I think they ended up not using it, the cover of the band, The Knife. And I was like, we should do a cover. And like, I was talking about 2 Ton Boa because I love that band. And Conan was like, you should do Cash Machine. I was like, you're right.
That's another album we could have done. The 2 Ton Boa.
We could have done that, yeah.
Although I feel like this one has more. Yeah. Anyway.
We can do that. That's our next.
That's our next podcast.
If you want to have us again.
Sure. Maybe. Yeah. For the next split or the next album. Yeah.
But yeah, like basically it became a bunch of little ideas and it was like, why don't we do all of them? And like, I also like I sent Conan demos of the songs that we ended up recording and be like, do you think these songs are weird? He's like, no, these songs are awesome. And it was kind of like, okay, cool. Because there were songs that we were like, maybe, like we were weird about them for a number of different reasons. I can't really remember. And like, so both the ideas going back and forth and it getting bigger and bigger, but in a manageable way, it's still an LP. It's not like we didn't do a double split LP.
Right. No. That'd be weird. It'd be like 2 albums by 2 separate bands at once.
What if it was like side to side to side to side? So it was like, this is a horrible idea.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I put out records too, and I was just like, I don't like that idea.
No, I don't like it.
I'd rather just put out 2 separate records from 2 separate bands, and just even if it was simultaneously, even if it was just like we both want to put these out at the same time, like fine. If they're great records, fine. I know, but
yeah.
So let's see. I guess we should go ahead and get into this album a little bit. I want to mention this to you guys. I realized that because this was kind of originally conceived as like a double album, or just the way it kind of worked out with the band at the time as they were writing and recording it. They were on Discord, and so Discord doesn't do double albums. I mean, they have a very specific price point, historically. So they
box sets, right? They did the box set with like everything on it.
They recently reissued it as a double album, and so all of the music that was originally intended for it has come out, but the original album was missing some songs because it had to be a single vinyl record. So
did they chop it down?
They did chop it down. So I guess I was going to go over the original release, which it's just missing some songs, and we're going to skip some songs anyway, just because I didn't necessarily have anything for everything.
Well, the CD had everything, right? If I remember
the CD, I'm sure had everything. Yeah.
The one I'm with. I don't think I've ever owned this record on vinyl. Either. I missed out on the reissue, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It did sell out. Yeah, I mean, these guys, like I think you were saying, was it's an obscure record, but for the people that know it, they love it, and it's definitely an important record. So I can't even start with the first song. The first song is Black Kites, and it's an instrumental song and very, very short. It's kind of like just an intro into the album, I guess you could say, right? But the song after that, Exit Fare.
Yes.
So really discombobulating how the cello starts off this track, and it's very kind of like immediate. It just kind of cuts from the end of Black Kites right into this. There's no break. Simple song, few lyrics. The lyrics are, "You can leave, but it's going to cost you."
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I mean, I know they're two separate tracks, but like we were talking about, like we were listening to this in the van last night, and like I've always really liked how the cello cuts off the other song.
Yeah, no, I know.
For song at all, and then sort of Jones like, boom, and
Yeah,
it's
like the first song is all, you know, understated, the Black Kites one, and then it just jumps in and it feels like someone's like in a chokehold, and then they're like, yeah,
right.
Cute,
Yeah,
you know?
you like jump right into this like fight scene, just like whoa, all of a sudden it's like really chaotic and like aggressive.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
great way to start.
Yeah, well,
It's out of nowhere, you know. I think even I remember when I first listened to it, I was like, oh, Daisy, thanks for recommending this to me. Like, this is good. But and then it hits there and you're like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? It almost feels like a theater, like you're in a play.
Yeah.
It's captivating because it just grabs your attention immediately, right?
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, based on the lyrics, you can leave, but it's gonna cost you. So you guys are road dogs. You guys play all the time, obviously.
Mhm.
Should someone have to leave your show, is it best for them to at least buy some merch before they go? Like,
We had that happen. We had that happen.
Somebody leaves your show like in the middle of it?
No, they showed up and they're like, sell me on your music. And I'm like, we were in the middle of nowhere. And so I was like, okay, sure. And so I was like, well, I like this track. And they're like, I like that track too. And they bought the CD and they're like, I gotta wake up early. Bye. And
weird.
so I don't think it should cost someone to leave, but in this instance with this song, it does.
But it always
cost them their life.
Right. Well, I mean, I was going to ask, like, what would or could be the appropriate etiquette, like if someone has to leave in the middle of a set?
To wave and say, I'm leaving now. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Disrupt the whole show. Be like, I have to leave now. Everyone stop.
I have to wake up at 7 a.m. You don't understand. I have a child and a goldfish.
That's like my life. You actually just kind of like pinned me. That's really weird.
Yeah, I feel like we know each other better now.
Number one, like everybody's an adult. If you gotta leave, just chill.
No, just leave.
We played a show last night, and some friends of mine showed up, and like they were like, "Yeah, this is cool, but we're gonna head to the after party because that sounds like more fun. So we'll probably leave before you play."
I'm like, okay.
It's like, thanks for telling me. Like, you really didn't need to say that, but okay.
Wow, yeah, people have no callous whatsoever. They just don't.
I think it's like they think you're gonna notice them leaving when in reality you're up there and you're doing your thing and you're like, and also it's like, I'm not out at every single show ever, especially when we're home. Like, I understand the desire to, you know, read a book and go to bed. Like, you're not going to offend us.
The only time I'm ever actually annoyed that someone's not at a show is if it's like a touring band that I'm like, this is awesome, and like nobody really comes, and it's just kind of like, man, they drove a long way and it's really good, and like maybe let's say they don't tour much or something, then I'm like, man, you should have came. But other than that, it's like student life, you know, it's not a big deal.
No hard feelings.
Yeah, everybody's got priorities.
Yeah, all right.
Kids, goldfish, whatnot.
Yeah, man. Oh, those kids are a big one. Fucking life ruiners.
Yeah, kids can't.
And goldfish, total life ruiner.
Actually,
man, so much obligation in goldfish.
So much pressure. You got to make sure you feed them and don't overfeed them or they'll die.
I do really like when I will say, people who go to shows with their kids, which I'm seeing as I get older, because I have friends whose kids are now the age I started going to shows, and like they will go as like a parent-child activity, and like that's really fun. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, if they like to, because my kids don't like go to shows. Like I try to take them all the time, and they're just like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, never mind.
With respect, that's cool, but if it's something you both enjoy, like that's really cool. You know,
I know that's what I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find what they love, musically speaking too. I mean, it's just like for some odd reason they're not very big music fans, you know. And it's just like I feel very much, you know, I related to your stories about how you guys grew up because, you know, with Kate, your father introducing you to so much and kind of like being so you know, genuinely interested in it and wanting to turn you onto it and wanting to show you what's so great about it. Like I've done that with my kids and they're just like, that fucking sucks. I don't want to do any of this, you know, like, and then Daisy, with you and your parents, you know, you had the opposite where, you know, they were musicians. They weren't trying to force it on you, obviously. And they tried to discourage you from it. And it's like, I don't try to push it on, like I realize I'm not pushing this on them. I don't want them to do this, but if they wanted to, I'd be more than supportive, you know. But yeah, I just think it's so strange that they don't like it at all. Like there's nothing I've shown them that they were like, that's cool, I like that. Or then there's nothing that they bring to me being like, can you buy this for me, or can you take me to the show? Nothing like that.
Yeah, but then again, when we were growing up, like we had phones that you could watch TV on, and like like insane video games and stuff like that.
Right.
I look back and would I have gotten as much out of music as I did? Like it might be like a matter of perspective, where like music is like one thing among many rather than the whole thing.
Right. Bless you. I mean, it's just so strange because I'm just like, doesn't everybody like some music?
Yeah, but it's not as much of like a giant, it's not as big of a thing. Like the bigness has swelled down a little bit. Like when I was listening to music, like the cable TV wasn't even common, you know.
Right.
Like my parents would we'd go and rent shit from Blockbuster and like tape it on another VCR to watch later, you know, like that was the level of like entertainment beyond music. Whereas music, it's like you had to buy the record, but you could listen to it forever. You know?
Yeah. Well, and when we were kids too, you know, like there was like the radio, which was awesome, and it was always on, like you were saying. Like we didn't really watch much TV, and even I mean, also the fact that right now a lot of kids are creators and almost place more value on creating like a video or creating some sort of content. And so
like that might have music with it, but it's not the whole thing.
Yeah. So I guess it's we had less growing up back then.
Yeah, right.
I guess my point is that that's good or bad. It's just like we probably would have turned out different if that's our milieu as well, you know.
Well, and I remember too, my mom was a huge reader when she was a kid, and I was less of a reader when I was a kid because there was TV and music, and like and I didn't even watch that much TV, but I was more interested in like those things. And I mean, actually, that's a bad comparison because they totally had the radio. But I don't know if my mom had her own personal radio, you know, growing up. Like,
and the woman to find out.
I'll have to call her.
Oh no, one of those.
What you have access to changes what you're into.
Exactly.
And if you have access to so much like people do now,
right, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, let's move on to the next song, A Brief Conversation Ending in Divorce.
Perfection.
This
a song
great.
that would never be legal now.
I mean, that's pretty I love that song, but it's definitely about killing your wife. I mean,
it's very, very okay. But the thing is, the way he writes lyrics and the way it's stated, it's just like very matter of fact, and you don't really see it coming. Like in the lyrics too, he's like, you know, there's the car. What is it? I want to even find the lyrics and read them because they're so perfect.
They thought he was driving drunk.
They're like, it is the car that, like, I'm seriously gonna find
the car on the road that
everybody swerved to avoid because they thought he was driving drunk, but he was only daydreaming about the future without his wife, whose body was in the trunk. And it's just like, it musically works as such a punchline. Like you're not expecting it, and then the whole song, it's just
like it's definitely like violent, but it paints a picture. It's sort of like this is a whole. Somehow it doesn't feel crass or like, I don't know, it works. I don't know why, but I think I love it, and it's the song I love. So
it definitely like captured my attention, you know, listening to it for the first time, because I was just like, oh, this is a very dark song. Like, you know, it's kind of but I've learned to realize it's like, okay, wait, songwriting, this is not necessarily, you know, a work of nonfiction. This could be just, you know, a metaphor for something, which essentially I guess it kind of is, right? Because I mean, I think I saw somewhere or heard something with him in an interview that said that this song was very much kind of like autobiographical in a sense. Obviously not murdering somebody, but it was this whole album seems to be about like a kind of a relationship falling apart.
I mean,
and like the darker sides of it, and the parts that people don't want to talk about, like the weird thoughts that happen when something goes terribly wrong.
Yeah, I think the word I was looking for is honest, because it's like not like, you know, you don't need to necessarily endorse murder, but I mean, people think all sorts of crazy shit, you know.
Sure, especially if you're upset. Yeah. Well, let me see. So as far as I can tell, the lyrics are very much on the nose for this one, you know, because like I'm saying, I'm sure he said it was like kind of autobiographical, but you know, in a kind of a story like setting. Now what I took away from this is that I've always said being in a band is like being married. So, but the dynamic between a duo is interesting.
I feel like
Because
it's like being in a siblinghood.
Yeah.
do you?
Being, like we're like family, especially when Rochelle, who does all of our artwork, like, and we all travel around together, like it feels like family, but definitely not like a marriage.
I don't
Right.
even duos I know who are in like a romantic or sexual relationship feel like brother and sister to me, or brother and brother, or sister
Really?
and sister.
Really? Okay. See, because
I feel
that's what
like
I was gonna ask you is like,
I'm-
what do you think your dynamic is like compared to bands with other members and compared to other duos?
No, we're like little kids. Like we like annoy each other and like
Yeah, we
have
get
weird
like
jokes. Like
we have lots of inside jokes, lots of weird humor, I mean, I feel like anyone that you sort of live in a van with for 6+ years, you're gonna have your own little kid language.
yeah,
So
it's pretty childish. Like
also like, yeah, I mean, Daisy's one of my best friends, and Rochelle, who does our art and travels with us, who's Daisy's partner, she's one of my best friends. And so I feel like we have a really special dynamic. Like I feel really lucky. Like you all are people that like I've grown with, and like you've seen me at like my worst states and my best states and all in between, and I've seen you all in the same too. And
I think your worst state was Idaho.
yeah,
Your best state was Rhode Island.
Nebraska,
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
So suffering a hurricane, yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like every band's dynamic, like it's sort of like a family or any relationship. Like you're never really gonna know it unless you're part of it. Like even if someone's describing it, like
Sure.
I mean, we have duo band friends like Volk, and I have no idea what it's like to be in their band and in their van. Like I have no idea what the vibe would be like. Just
They seem like cousins.
they do sort of seem like
They
cousins.
seem like
We'll have to ask.
Are they cousins?
no,
but they seem like the vibe. Like
They just feel like
could be
cousins.
like cousins.
Right. Well, that's very funny. I'm happy to have asked you that because, like, I'm very serious. I've always said being in a band is like being married, regardless of how many people you're in a band with. But the sibling is interesting. I see. You know what? You know why I don't think that? Because I have siblings and I've been in a band with my brothers.
Oh, and
I have three
I've never
brothers.
been in a band with my sister or my brother.
What was that like? 'Cause
Yeah.
I've played music with my brother for like the same way I played music with my mom for like maybe 30 minutes once. Like it never really.
I never want to do it again. We'll leave it at that. I mean, 'cause it was great. Like when it started off, like it was really fun, and it was the first band I'd ever been in. So it was like it was it was exciting, but as the years kind of went on, and as things kind of developed and progressed, and like the band blew up into this like 8-piece band, I was just like, this sucks. And I started to get really, really resentful, and one of my brothers was kind of like the leader. So we kind of like started to really butt heads all the time until finally we just had it out with each other, and I quit. But I mean, I love them. I love my brothers. I absolutely love my brothers, to death. And I would do anything for them, but I don't want to be in a band with them.
I feel like we'll have, I mean, similar to what you're expressing, like our sibling, like the nice thing is like if we blow up at each other, we both at the end of the day really love being in the band and love the music we write, and neither of us is too big to say I'm sorry. So I feel like that sort of helps things continue. I don't know, because what else would we be doing without?
Oh yeah, we're pretty unemployed.
We're pretty unemployable. Like
I guess
so
to me, like
maybe if there's more people, it's easier to quit. But like if you got two,
let me ask you this: was your brother you butted heads with older or younger?
Older.
Okay. See, that's
3 years. 3 years older.
Okay. So I am an oldest sibling, and Kate is a middle sibling, and I feel like these are complementary dynamics. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah.
Like I feel like your position in the brother, because I am a classic older brother.
Are you so you're a nurturer? Is that what you're kind of saying?
No, it's like maybe like it's like 30% nurture and 70% you're a dick. I think is the right way to say that.
All right.
It's sort of like I feel like your position in the siblinghood has a lot to do with things.
Right. I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest. Out of how many?
3. No, like 4 altogether. I'm the 4th.
Wait, so again,
I'm the youngest.
We're in the band with was like where was he in the thing again? Was he like the oldest? The one that you were in the band with?
No, it was a weird progression. So the four of us started off. My oldest brother's 5 years older than me. This one I'm talking about, I'll have to use his name, Javi. He's 3 years older than me. And then my other brother, Oscar, is 1 year older than me.
Mhm.
So my oldest, Mo, is what we call him. He had to leave after the first year because he ended up having a kid and, he had to grow up, basically. So then it was the three of us that kind of continued on, and it blew up into that. Like, then it was like the band grew. Like, we ended up getting all these other members to join, and that's when I was starting to like this. I don't like this anymore. But I carried on for years until finally, it came to a head. Like, I don't know, 4 years into it, 5 years into it, something like that.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
but
that's a really wild dynamic.
That's a lot of
yeah,
people too.
Yeah.
That's so many people.
yeah. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't like it. And then, directionally speaking too, it wasn't really kind of what I was looking for at the time. So
Yeah.
but
The reason I don't really liken bands to marriages is because like I'm married and like we like each other, and there was at some point like a choice of like we like each other and we're gonna make stuff work, and like we like doing it and stuff like that. And like bands never feel like a choice to me. Like it feels more like predetermined. Like every band I've ever been in, I feel like I always was in and I always will be in. It's just there was just a point in time where it happened.
Yeah.
Where it's like, to me, a good relationship feels like a good marriage or a good whatever is like a little more like a choice at the end of the day, and kind of like, I don't know, there's a sexy part, you know what I'm saying? Like bands aren't sexy. Bands are
Yeah.
Yeah, bands are not sexy.
like that's why I've always been like, I don't know about marriage, but like siblings, yeah, that makes sense. Like it's ultimately a bunch of brothers and sisters, and like who I didn't know I had until we started playing music together.
And I think the reason why I don't liken it to a marriage either is like I've been in a band where I was dating someone and I hated it. And then also like in our band at the beginning, like maybe when I didn't look as gay, people would be like, oh, are you guys like, they would just talk at us like, oh yeah, you're together, right? Like, yeah, like your partner. Right. I'm like, no. And I think when you're a two-piece and you present as like a guy and a gal, and people make that assumption, you get like kind of annoyed at that assumption. You're like, no, definitely not. Like,
Yeah. No, that's true. It's a common misconception. I mean, but that's kind of why, I don't know. I kind of feel like that's kind of nice to kind of get that out in the open. I mean, like I've talked to people before, like a couple of other bands that were like a male-female dynamic, and it seemed like a mystery. It's like we don't talk about this. Like we can't talk about whether or not we're together or not. And turns out they weren't. But it's just a strange thing. It's just like it's almost like a maybe like a kind of a mystery that their band kind of exudes, and maybe kind of adds to the mystique of what that band is.
I think our mystery is that we play weird instruments. I hope our mystery is not, are they dating? Are they dating?
Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying, but I feel like that's a really boring mystery.
Like it is. But it happens all the time, because like when you have a woman in a band, especially, it's like, first of all, there's that misconception, right? Like there's always the problem with the way people perceive a woman being in a band. And I know that you've had this problem in your past, Kate, right? It's like they think that you're the girlfriend of the guy in the band, right? Something like that.
Especially like when my first band or second band, but the band that I like toured a little bit more with, like whenever I would carry in gear, they would always be like, oh, that's so nice of you to carry in gear for your boyfriend. But I do think things have changed a lot since like 2008. I do. Like,
sure.
Also, I think when you get to be a little bit older and you're not like in your early 20s, people, maybe that also factors into people giving you a little more respect, which is also sad. But
I mean, I've only been in a band with one person I was romantically involved with, and it was my wife, and it was after we were married. So it was like, that was sort of like, and that was a cool band, but it was more like she wanted to explore music, and I was like, well, I'll help you, and I'll play a background part in this to do that. Like, so it's just always like, I'm going to say something and it's going to be unpopular, but a band relationship or a romantic relationship, one always sort of supersedes the other. And I feel like if I start naming names here, everybody will get upset, but it's like either couple and you play music and it's fun and it's cool, which is awesome, or you're a band and because of proximity you're dating.
Mm-hmm.
And like it has to do with each other, but it's like they're never, almost virtually never equal.
Yeah.
Like
I can't
one doesn't
imagine
make the other one healthy almost ever.
right.
Like the healthiest way I did it, because I definitely tried to play music with like ex-girlfriends and stuff, and like we'd like throw shit at each other across the room after a while. Like with Rochelle, it was like I was sort of like playing drums as a backing for her learning and like writing songs on her own, which was like cool, but it was like I was essentially a backing musician for someone I cared about in that context. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
It can be, there can be, each can have a role, but it's almost never an equal role, which is why I always find it fascinating when people assume that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, let's move on to another song. I want to skip Immutable Beauty. I want to move on to Con Art, because I actually have kind of like two parts to this song. Because first of all, there's the song, and then it's the title track. So the album is also called Con Art. So,
well, we can transition with like, I feel like, from what I understand, the lore around this record is that it was not just a breakup record, but a breakup record of people in the band.
Yeah, it is their swan song, right?
Yeah, and the relationship breaking up is, and why this, one of the reasons this record is incredible is it's, from what I understand, which this may be somewhat limited because this is lore, is they're writing songs at each other in the context of the record.
Right.
Breaking each other.
Brutal.
Yeah. And
So
this is an example of that.
This is why you don't date your bandmates, or if you do, so you get a really good record like this record.
I mean, this is like the rumors of 90s indie rock. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see. So just to start it off, like, you know, the album is called Con Art, and so I was just thinking, because like sometimes I feel okay. So what's interesting about when I'm having these talks with people sometimes is that I feel like when you're putting that album up against an artist or a band, like some aspects of that album could ostensibly have a relationship to like why it was chosen. So I mean, thinking about the name of the album, Con Art, when you think of Con Art, what do you think of?
I honestly think of the album as a whole, like with, like, I just think of all the individual tracks, you know. I don't know. What do you think? When I think of the song, I think of the specifics to the song, but what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think of a lot of different things, but mostly I think of like, you know, like Catch Me If You Can or something, where someone's like literally a confidence artist, but like in this I think in this context, they're talking about like art that's sort of conning you, that's sort of like, you know,
or the con of their relationship.
You're being deceived.
Yeah.
You're being the art of deception.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now the second part of this that I kind of came up with was you know, relating more to the song. I have a quote from Chad Clark. Says, one of the things we always tried to do was to kind of create a genre for a song. Clark says, take the song Con Art, which is sung by Hillary. What kind of music is that? That song doesn't have a genre. It's not anything you've heard before or since. It's a song that creates its own genre, and then it's the only song in its genre, and then that genre is finished.
Yeah.
End quote. So your music is very consistent. You know, I told you I've listened to all of your albums, but wholly unique because the format, just the way you guys kind of created it, the way that you perform it. But what genre would you consider it?
Our music?
Yeah.
I just say rock music, but it's kind of because I don't want to think about it. Like I feel like everything where Chad said, like this is a genre on its own, and then you move on. Like that's more like, even though I mean we definitely have certain types of songs that are certain types of long songs. Like we also have ones where it's like that came out and that's what happened, and that's cool. Like it's almost like if you can do it without worrying about the genre, sometimes that allows cooler things to come.
Yeah, I can, and like with what Chad said in the quote, I feel like it's almost in a way acknowledging that, like basically being like, hey, no, I'm not going to hold on to a genre. I'm not going to have that label, have any sort of genre label pasted on me for any song I write. And I relate to that too, because like, yeah, we write, I kind of think our songs are a little bit all over the place because some of them are more like metal and others read a little more like pop or weird, you know. So I like that. I like that he said that. But then interesting with that song too, it feels like when you were talking about that quote about how he said that the album itself is meandering, like I feel like that song is really meandering. Like it really meanders in a nice way. Like it takes you to different places.
Therefore being unidentifiable, like
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those songs
kind of
like, this is probably gonna be a weird comparison, but like I feel like that song is like, it's not the same part over and over again, it's a series of interlocking parts that come and go. The only comparison I can think of right offhand in rock music is the record Disintegration by The Cure. Has a couple of those that are like weirdly long and weirdly follow this strange path, but it's kind of mostly the same thing happening in different ways over and over again.
Yeah. I want to ask you another question, and this is a question that I had for another song, so I'm just going to skip around a little bit because it's kind of pertains to that a little bit. The song "Funny as in Haha."
Yeah.
According to Chad Clark from his Twitter account, he says, "quote To me, it sounded like the Jackson 5." So my question for you was, what do you think has been the funniest comparison that has been made to Lung?
Evanescence.
I imagine there's been a lot of comparisons.
Evanescence is the funniest. And I mean, I never take any comparison as an insult. Evanescence is like, they're great. They do their stuff. It's not like one of my favorite bands, but I find that to be a funny comparison. Or when people just throw out any cellist they know and they're like, Rasputina. I'm like, we were talking about this in the car yesterday. Like we both dig Rasputina, but like, it's sort of like if you were like, you went up to someone in, you know, Black Sabbath and you're like, you play guitar, so does Nirvana. Like, wow, you sound the same. You know, like
a bagpipe player. It's just like, you know, they use bagpipe in AC/DC's for those about to rock, right? Like you're like an AC/DC band.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of like a joke amongst cello players because I have a lot of cello friends who do different cool, weird music that I've met through the years. It's sort of a joke with us of like, of when people, you know, compare you to another cellist, because it's like, okay, that's nice, but it is funny because it's like, okay,
it's like a pretty versatile instrument. Like you can do a lot of
I mean, it's like a guitar. You would never just be like, I know you sound like the other guitar band that's totally different.
Like your uncle's like, you play guitar just like Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
That's wild. All right, so let me see. Because I skipped around now. I don't know if I want to do DC Will Do That to You now.
Yes, you
do. You do want to do that. That's such a good song.
I know, it is a great song, and it's a two-parter. It's like, it's very, very interesting, and okay. All right, we'll do it.
Can I say one thing about con art real quick? This is an important point I feel like I need to make.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, con art, definitely thing about no genre. Totally agree. The Yeah song Maps, you know what I'm talking about?
I haven't heard it.
Never heard that? It was a popular radio song in like 2004, so that song rips off con art super bad.
Oh, well, that'll be interesting to listen to now.
I've always thought that.
I don't think it's a rip. I think it's a similarity.
It's a rip.
You listen.
I'll have to,
yes. Give Chad Clark money.
No.
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, give him money. Hey, I mean, he needs to be more famous and rich than he is. So yeah, by all means,
money. Give the whole band money.
I think he would appreciate it.
Sorry, I just need to get that in there.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm glad that you did. So now, DC Will Do That to You. Very interesting approach at a two-part song. So what I got from this is that it seems to me that the first part of the song seems to be about, well, okay, the whole song, both parts seem to be about homelessness, right?
Yeah.
So
and about, you know, when you pass someone on the street, whether just that interchange of like, do you give them the money or not?
Right.
And like the uncomfortableness of like that.
Well, you have to be a little cold you have to sort of shut yourself off to feeling to some degree to exist in the environment.
Yeah. Like, so the first half of the song seemingly describes the awkward situation of being approached by a homeless person in need, and like what's that person's reaction to that, like the fumbling in the pockets, kind of looking for change and stuff like that, right? But then the second half is seemingly from like the perspective of the homeless person, kind of like acknowledging the effect that a major city may have on its residents, kind of like, like DC will do, like the homeless person saying, oh yeah, DC will do that to you, kind of makes you like an insensitive kind of just like, like just I can't, I don't even know like the appropriate way to kind of like describe it, just like the apathy, I guess, overall.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is
it's
it?
a thing where like this is America. Like anybody is only a couple paychecks away from any of us are only a couple paychecks away from being in the
Right.
same situation. So it's like odd to be on both sides of that with like, the level of empathy you have to deal with it or choose to deal with it.
Right, right. So, I mean, I know it's a big problem in most places today. But what do you think is a better way to deal with the situation? Or maybe what do you like, what is your personal like way that you handle this when you're approached with the situation?
I mean, like if someone asks us for money.
Yeah, I mean, or in a grander scheme, is just like, what do you think would be a great counter to the homelessness problem?
If our government was better, if our government had a way to help out its people a little bit more, I would
Right.
like that.
I'm not necessarily a socialist, but I think that there's some things like housing and like pizza that should be available. Like it's like it doesn't really, the way housing is run is just kind of like a casino and it doesn't really make sense and it's stupid. Like you should be able to like in a modern functional society, we have the resources for everybody to be able to sleep somewhere and eat. Probably pizza. Pizza should be, there should be just like these government like factories that just make pizza all the time, and there should just be housing for people. I think that's, and everything else can keep being capitalism, whatever. I don't really care, but like just basic shit, it's like, why not? Like it doesn't work. The way it works, it doesn't work. So
Right.
And I mean, as far as, approaching like homelessness, like people ask me for money and I have money, I usually give it to them. But then at the same time, like sometimes I'm really broke and
Yeah.
sometimes I can't. And it's like, yeah, like you said, like everybody's a couple paychecks away from that position.
right. And it's like if I'm going to give money to someone who's on the street, like a thing I don't like is when people are, well, they're just going to spend that on drugs. It's like I don't care. Like that's their problem. It's their money now. I don't care. Like,
well, and
I don't know
that question's like
situation.
brought up in the song too. I mean, one thing with the song and why I think everybody should go listen to it right now is it sounds like when we're talking about it that it's just sort of like this sort of like calm meditative thing, but like the chords and the progressions and the insanity that is like driven into the song, it's such a driving song that like you sort of feel the urgency and like the just like the weird feelings on all sides coming in on it's just like it's so good. I think this band does such a good job of like showing and making you feel the situation from all sides.
Yeah, well, this is such a big topic, and maybe that's why it's a two-parter. Maybe that's why they did that, like make this song in two parts. And like I said, it's kind of lyrically, it seems like you got both perspectives kind of covered between both parts.
Yeah.
Because musically, they're not the same at all. They're not like similar. I mean, most songs that like there's a part one and part two, it's like usually it's kind of maybe like an alternate version of like the same kind of chord progression, right? Something like that, maybe a different mood. But these are like two different songs.
Yeah, it's like the only connecting thread is the lyrics.
Is the subject matter. And also I think that the subject matter for me when I'm listening to it can also just like there's broader themes on the album, like this country, like and sort of the darker aspects of this whole country. But I feel like this song too, it communicates to me, at least when I'm listening to it, like just how isolated everyone is. It has just like this isolatory, like, do we help each other? Does anyone really help anyone? Are we all just in it for ourselves? Like, and then the second song that we were talking about, like the sequel to it, we all talked about how it's sort of from the homeless person's point of view, but I sort of feel like it can be just relatable to everyone, just how isolated and jaded and like cold living in this time period can make us all.
Yeah, hardened kind of empathetic or unsympathetic to people's needs.
Yeah, there's yep, agreed.
Yeah, man, this is a heavy one. This is a heavy song, and the whole album itself is fairly heavy, enjoyable because there's a lot of like really great musical aspects to it that are like really compelling and really fun. Obviously if you like rock music and punk music, this is got a lot of that for you. But yeah, it's really complex. And so with that being said, I'm not going to go too much further with this album. First of all, I know that we're running short on time, and secondly, I didn't want to like try to analyze this album. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I was trying, and it's difficult, lack of information, lack of like resources. There was a lot of reasons, but then at the same time, I was just like, I think I would be like more of a disservice to analyze this incorrectly than to just kind of like leave it be as like a piece.
Yeah. Like I feel like people, if I were to recommend a way for someone to experience it, I would just say like clean one room of your house and blast it. And then you'll just end up sitting motionless on the floor at some point listening. Like, I think that's how I ended up listening to it. I just started doing different things and the lyrics drew me in. And then you just sort of sit and it hits you when it hits you. And then there's an interlude and you clean another part of your kitchen. Like, and then it's relatable in unexpected ways.
Yeah. It's a slow burn, huh? It's like kind of, it hits you eventually.
Yeah. And different riffs will grab you and different lyrics will grab you. And then it's kind of like a good poem. Like sometimes I feel like the best poetry, you're reading the whole poem and you're like, okay, sure. And then the punchline comes and you're hit in the gut.
That's
how I feel like this album.
It changes with context, like from how you approach it, which is cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, with that being said, I mean, I could probably end this with one more song. The song Bullfighter. So I really like this song. I feel like this is a really great song. It's a kind of a great, aggressive, tight little punk number.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the odd song out, isn't it? Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seldom kind of like go the kind of full rock like punk
I feel like that's the
thing.
Rock.
Yeah. So, but the lyrics go, the bullfighter's job is to avoid fighting the bull. The bullfighter's job is to simply step aside and let inertia take its due. That'd be a pretty good job for you. Maybe you should apply.
Well, it relates to the other song that's talking about confrontation.
Yeah.
What's that? Which one is that? I forget. There's one song where
it was it's funny isn't funny, haha. Where
is that the one?
You plan to confront your fear of confrontation.
Yeah, like you plan to confront your fear of confrontation. So yeah,
okay.
It's like a clear thread from that. Like when you listen to the album a bunch, like relationship problems that build up over time are sort of sprinkled and interwoven through the whole thing.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Like, I've only had so much time with this album. I don't know if I've fully grasped everything, but I can definitely, hear that now that you mention it.
There's a lot of there's lyrics that reference the album before too, which is really fun.
Oh, okay. I listened to the first album once just to kind of get a feel for it. A little different.
Mm-hmm.
It's good, but it's way different.
Yeah. And I want to get into Beauty Pill too, now that I've been like kind of doing so much research about this band. I mean, like they've done some really interesting stuff, and like obviously it's it seems like a continuation of what Smart Went Crazy was kind of. I mean, I know that Chad Clark kind of speaks specifically about how it's a totally different thing, but I mean, he's still the primary songwriter,
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. There's a lot of the same members, so yeah, I don't know. I have to listen to it. I gotta figure it out.
My original way of getting into this this series of bands was through seeing Beauty Pill live, which is pretty rare. Like I think that might have been one of their only full tours, and they were like, this is like 2004ish. They were mind blowing live, like still a top 10 band I've ever seen. And the record they put out at the time is really cool, but it's like pretty different than how they were live. That one's called The Unsustainable Lifestyle. It's a really good record, but it took me a while to really get it because it was like pretty different than them live. And and then at some point, like a friend of mine who lived in the DC area who had friends who had bandmates in common with Chad was like, with Beauty Pill was like, oh, you should check out Smart Went Crazy. Like this is this band before that. And that's how that was my entryway. And like, I feel like you have to, it's almost the same way where you have to like start at the later records and go backwards.
Right.
It
Yeah.
kind of makes more sense in reverse in a weird way. Like,
Okay. Hey, now that you said that, your experience with Beauty Pill and having seen them live, but the record was different than like what they kind of presented in a live setting. How does that work for Lung? Because I was thinking about this where it's like I saw the live video, so I know that you guys do it. I know that you can do it. Like everything that you record, you're able to perform. So like because as a duo, sometimes there's limitations where you can't play every single instrument that you end up using on your recording, but you guys are able to kind of recreate your recordings fairly seamlessly.
like we have devices which Kate can talk more on than I can. Like we're
Right, loop pedals and stuff
I
like
mean,
that.
over the years, we've started like sort of to solve this, like record versus live thing. Like we've added loop pedals. We've added this past tour, we added a vocal pedal that sort of allows us to like make it a little more dynamic live as well. Like a bunch of different things going on. No, I feel like with our live stuff versus the recorded stuff, like the main goal that we have is to communicate the energy of the song. So like, yeah, it might be a carbon copy live, but and actually I sort of think of our stuff more as like I like our recordings. I think they're great. John Hoffman and Mike Montgomery, who've done our stuff, they're both amazing. But I really think that like for us, like the live stuff is like what I really love. And then I want the recordings to have the intensity of the live. So it's almost in reverse. It's like, I want our recordings to be able to fly off the page like how I feel our live shows come across.
right. Yeah. They're two different. What serves one doesn't necessarily serve the other, I feel like.
Yeah.
Right. And so do you feel like writing wise, there's like, do you feel limitations that, because obviously like with recording, you can do whatever you want. You can put in all different types of instruments. You can add all this different layers of whatever, but do you kind of like limit yourself because you want to perform this and be able to kind of recreate it when you play it?
When we write the songs, the song starts just sort of as it is. Anything extra that we add in recording is cool. And then sometimes when we record extra stuff in recording, we go, ooh, how can we figure out how to make this happen live? But it's almost like it's like the live and the vibe of the song comes from how we play it in the room generally. And then, so I don't think we really have the problem of like trying to, like, I don't really write for the studio. Like it's like writing for the live show. And then sometimes
studio stuff happens too.
Yeah. Oh, studio stuff happens. But then it's like, oh, how do we figure out how to like, oh, there's a cool harmony we added there in the studio. Maybe we throw it in a loop pedal.
Yeah, it's more serving the song first, and then we figure out how to do everything else. And some stuff where it's just not we'll just find a different way to do it live if it's different.
Okay. Now going back to the song, we kind of got off topic a little bit, but so Bullfighter, right? So I read those lyrics. That quote, like that'd be a pretty good job for you. Maybe you should apply. I was wondering if you want to consider making music your job, like what is the most difficult part?
Health insurance.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
End of interview.
Health insurance. No, I don't know. I mean, I think
that's the mic drop right there. Health insurance. Boom.
If you want music to be your job, you have to be sort of a certain kind of insane. Like you have to have different priorities in life. Like my priorities are not make a lot of money and live in a certain place. My priorities are like experience life richly, see a lot of the country, drive along in a van with my best friends and be smelly. Like play shows, meet people, feel the feelings of being alive. And like with all those things don't really come health insurance easily, like those stable, practical things. I think,
which I mean, it should.
Yeah, like you sort of have to value different things than a lot of people to do the kind of stuff we do.
Which, be clear here, that only applies to the United States of America. Like we have friends
in Canada who get like grants.
Get grants.
Oh, right.
Like it doesn't have to be this way, but it is this way. And like if you're doing that, choosing to live within those parameters can be everything from annoying to literally kill you. And you kind of have to buy that ticket and take the ride. Like I know people who have died of easily curable shit because they didn't have health insurance, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way, but like, I'm not a politician. I don't know how to fix that. And like, you know.
Right. So also, because my second question, my follow-up question would be like, what could you recommend to an aspiring musician or possible advice to them?
When we started as a band, we played our first show, and I used to drink a lot of the time, and I drunkenly was like, Daisy, I'm going to quit my job. We should do this all the time. And then the next day we sat down and Daisy's like, well, like, would you actually want to tour? And I was like, yeah, sure. And I mean, it's not like I had money. It's not like I had anything really. Like, I just like moved out of the house I lived in, moved into a tiny little room, and we just figured it out and we jumped into it and we like made it work. So I guess my advice would be like, if you want to do something, you don't have to be good at it. You don't have to like really have a stable plan or a stable life or all the pieces in place. You just have to sort of like take a risk, downgrade your life a little bit in other ways and make it happen and see if it works. And like, I think a lot of people spend a lot of time planning, and like, that's good. That's probably healthier. But I think like, oh, you know, just do it. Just do the damn thing and don't try to be perfect. Just do it.
Also, you'll probably end up doing what I'm about to do, which is to go downtown and bartend and make some extra money, because that's how that works.
Oh yeah.
Right.
We all have lots of different jobs, but like,
Yeah.
I guess
be
just
prepared to not play music sometimes.
have the courage to like have the courage to just jump off the cliff and do it.
Yeah, do what you want to do.
Very exciting.
Yeah, unfortunately, music means you have to pour drinks sometimes.
Yeah, and not for yourself, unfortunately.
Sometimes, but that's not recommend. I don't recommend that. I guess my one advice to people who want to play music is like, don't get drunk.
Actually, yeah, like that was your advice to me. Like,
Really?
I
yeah,
mean,
like it costs a lot of money and it makes you unhealthy and it just kind of sucks.
and it's like so much easier to pay your rent and to live and to remember your life if you're not wasted all the time. In the
like, you know what fucking sucks? Oh, I just cussed on this. I'm sorry.
Oh,
That's
no.
okay. That's all right.
If you're on tour, like people, like, here's some drink tickets, and not like, here's a meal. It's like, dude, I don't need that. I need to eat.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No, I totally feel you.
Oh man, do you think you could sell your drink tickets to like people in the audience? Be like just $5, man, just $5 for a ticket.
Oh, $5 will get you a chorus. It'll get you a chorus.
It's like pay to play, like it's pay to play, but with alcohol.
Yeah, you have to sell your booze tickets. Oh my
man,
gosh.
that's actually a really good idea.
I mean, if you don't need them, I mean,
Next show, we're letting you all know. Just come up and ask us for drink tickets. Give us a couple bucks, you know.
yeah.
I mean, what we normally do is
DC will do that for you.
barter people.
Just go to the sound guy.
Yeah. Also, I like NA beers, the non-alcoholic ones.
Yeah.
So I like mine.
Oh, okay.
Or
what could also be cool is this, like, if you just tell people, like, I remember, like, didn't Ween do this, where like they mentioned like in interviews all the time, it's like, just bring us food. Yeah, just bring us food. And then like their fans would just come and bring food, like they'd fucking bring cakes and shit, and just like, you know, like they'd end up with like all this food that just people brought because they're just fans.
Yeah, but we're really picky is the thing. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, thanks for the chocolate chip cookies, and then you feel like you have to eat it. Like,
thanks for the steak. And
it's like, we're pretty healthy. Like, I don't want to be like, you have to
bring me yogurt, and it can't be like warm.
You should have a writer on your website and just be like, if anyone wants to check off anything on this list, you're more than happy.
Beans, bagged salad.
It's like an Amazon wish list, but for food.
I would like some hummus, please.
This is
hummus.
Close to a great idea.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, look,
in our Instagram stories, we can just like ask for things. Like,
yeah.
Like, hey, we're heading to the show. Who wants to bring us hummus and pita?
Yeah, I don't remember how Ween did it, but they fucking totally did it. They totally capitalized on it, just being like, just bring us food, guys. Just whatever, you know, bring us anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and assume that Ween does not have as healthy eating habits as we do.
Yeah, I mean,
but
at the time too, when they were, you know, when they were just starting out, you know, this is kind of when they were doing that. Obviously, they don't do that now anymore. Or at least they probably don't encourage it at the level that they're at. But yeah, I mean, why not? Fuck it, try it. What do you got to lose, right?
Our teeth.
Well, yeah, you could become diabetic. Yeah, they keep on bringing you like these sugary things.
I'm already diabetic. That's the point. I don't want to like be like, you know, and I feel bad. It's like when people make you food, you can't not eat it. It's rude.
Right. Correct.
So
right.
I'll ask for food and you can just not have it. I'll give you the good stuff. I'll just eat all the cookies.
You can have all the
All right, maybe the public rider is the best way to go on the website.
We're gonna work with this. I think you can have a royalty of 10%, 10% of all food.
We'll send it to you in the mail.
All right. No, that's hey, everything helps, right?
Yeah, it's true.
We're gonna get you some food.
All right, that sounds great. Well, look, so money is the biggest thing, because that will kind of cover everything. You can help yourselves to buy anything that you feel was the best for you on the road. With you, if you just have money, what's the best way for people to support you?
Just come to a show and meet us and buy some merch, or don't, just say hi. Probably coming to a show, even if you don't buy anything, is probably the best way to support. You can also buy our records if you want, like really whatever.
Yeah, and it's all available through your website.
It's available on like various record labels' websites, but mostly we just sell stuff at our shows because we're scared of the internet.
With good reason.
It's a horrifying place.
I don't recommend the internet.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
It's good. It has its pros and cons, like everything
Correct.
else.
Yeah, that's good.
I feel like if you do anything, moderation is key with the internet.
There's good stuff and bad stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But so yeah, otherwise, it's been great talking to you guys, and I thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having us. This has been fun.
Sorry for all the kerfuffle up front.
Yeah, sorry that we don't know how to use Zoom.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to record these things.
But
No, best of luck to you guys. I mean, like, what's the touring plan looking like right now?
We are going to be hitting the road in November and December. And then we'll be out in February as well. But all of our dates are on our Instagram and will be on our website. Our website's lungtheband.com and our Instagram's just lungtheband.
And if you don't use the internet, you can call me and I'll tell you them.
366.
I'll give out my phone number. I don't care. Do you want my phone number?
No, I don't want you to do that.
I mean, not for you, for everybody listening.
Exactly. No, I don't want you to do that. Just for your own sake, I don't want you to do
that. Seriously, if people call me, I'll pick up the phone. I actually like calling.
That's cool. That's a very Ian MacKaye thing, man. I like that. I mean,
They make friends with someone on the phone by calling a random number with their friend as a kid. And didn't you say they ended up coming to a show? Like they used to call random people.
I think they ended up getting married.
Wow.
Yeah, they married for a while.
Wow. Yeah.
Pre-internet ways of making friends.
Just call random numbers in the phone book.
We're good talking to you.
Yeah, good talking to you guys. Best of luck, all right?
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
My phone number is 502-939-0465. 5065.
Right. Vinyl Vision is a second side production. Theme song written and performed by Jeff Robbins.